Vinny and I met there, got married, and then moved to Victoria in British Columbia. Victoria is where I met my best friend Rashene. I had fallen in love, gotten married. I had good friends. Life had been very ordinary. Of course, it's days like these that make me want to strangle this man. But I know Vinny does this to improve my health because he loves me. Rashene was born in Canada but grew up in Ireland, which is why she is clearly disturbed and why I liked her right away. When I got sick, besides Vinny, it was Rashene that visited me and supported me. And it was Rashene who was there when the Thrive philosophy was born. Beer and cider were also there, but it was Rashene that helped me work through my frustrations that day. And it was Rashene who first communicated the message of Thrive to Barbara Shumley, the president of the World Conference on Breast Cancer. What I really didn't like about the survivor label was that with my prognosis, I probably wasn't going to be one. When people talk about survivors, they imply they're winners. So if I didn't survive, did that mean I was a loser? That just didn't feel right to me. The idea behind Thrive and Thriving is that you can thrive while you're waiting to survive. Thriving for me was the choice not to let my illness, my cancer, be my life. Cancer was part of my life. It was part of my body. That's just how it was. But I was determined it was not going to be the focus of my life. My body, just like a car, needed maintenance, and I would do whatever I could to keep it running. But my body, like a car, is forgetting me to my desired destinations, my goals, which are the focus of my life. So I vowed that while I was waiting to survive, I would thrive. I was sitting at my computer on a Saturday afternoon when the phone rang. It was Rashene. She told me she had bought me a ticket to Australia so I could meet some other thrivers. She hoped this is what I needed to finish my book. All right. Thank you. What do you think I'm going to be doing down there? What do you think they want of me down there?
It's all about where you started. All the filming we did back in Winnipeg.
Vinny, I don't understand why they need me. Thrive is an attitude. It's not a person. Anybody could be Thrive.
There are people who aren't thrivers. Those are the people who just don't have the strength to push through it. And as well as the people who have not been through these diseases to understand what you've gone through.
I don't know. I think I'm going into the great unknown, great abyss. Thrive to me is like gravity. It's always there. I just gave it a name. I was excited by Rashene's call, but also anxious. As we drove out the driveway, my stomach was in knots. On the plane, I thought about the World Conference on Breast Cancer in Winnipeg and the Pink Lady Walk. I remembered my friend Tracy, who did not survive, as all the Pink Ladies represented someone lost, but whose life had meant something, lives that mattered and should be honored for their achievements. Lexi was responsible for bringing the Pink Lady ceremony from Australia to the conference for the first time.
At the World Conference in Winnipeg, Canada in 2008, I was representing the Breast Cancer Network Australia. To that extent, I had the honour of presenting what we call the Field of Women, an initiative of Australia's network to keep the breast cancer awareness on the public agenda. We all stood together representing that we were united in our fight against breast cancer, and in that group there were people from all over the world.
This is what the Thrive message seeks to do: give a name and meaning to all those who struggle and may not survive, but whose lives matter, whose lives have affected us.
so good. Yeah, isn't it good?
No, really.
Yeah. Yay.
Oh, God, yeah. So, anyway, I'm here.
Do you want me to push it for you?
I just want coffee and food.
Yeah? Okay.
I really appreciate that you've come all this way. I know it's your first international flight, and I know you were stuck in LAX for like 5 hours, and I know you've left behind Vinny, but you know, we started the Thrive journey together, and we're going to finish it together on a big high. I'm going to introduce you to some amazing people.
As soon as I had showered and was sitting comfortably on Rashene's balcony, I felt a weight lift off me. Rashene and I picked up right where we had left off with our friendship. The next morning, we drove up to the shore and met up with Lexi, whom I had met in 2008 at the conference in Winnipeg.
I became involved with Dragons of Breast Australia in January 2004, only a few months after I'd finished treatment, when my hair was not even quite growing. I wasn't very well at the time, but I'd learnt through ladies I'd met through the Choices program that this was a really nice activity, and also to be around other ladies who had been there as well, and that they were getting on and doing things in life. It was through that I was able to regain some, or what I thought was some control in my life, having had a cancer diagnosis. Basically, you're shaken to your core.
Sitting in the boat with these women took me back to Winnipeg again. The support and camaraderie that they offer to each other is comforting.
Dragons of Breast ladies are about enjoying life after breast cancer, and just getting out and doing something positive. Out on the river during summer is really lovely compared to, say, the smells of being in the hospital.
It's just so lovely out here. This is lovely. Isn't it stunning? So the reason I brought you here to this beautiful place is because I wanted to show you it's kind of empty. You know, we're almost the only ones here, and it's absolutely stunning, and we're the only ones enjoying it, and that I think is a lot of problem today, not just here in sunny Queensland, but all around the world. We just take these beautiful things for granted when we have them every day.
It's hard to imagine. It really is, because you know back home, back in Victoria, how Dallas Road and Ogden Point are just loaded every single day.
And it would be here. If this was in Victoria or anywhere in Canada, you would not be able to move for the people here. When I first arrived here, I couldn't believe all the stuff that was available and that was free, and that people weren't making the most of it. I think in a way that's a little bit like you and Thrive. I think back to when we were in Victoria in that pub, and we had a spark, we had a vision, we named it, we gave the name Thrive to this feeling that every day should be a great day, whether you got to live to 90 or whether you were gone tomorrow. I remember what that feeling was like in the pub. It was like, eureka! We found this movement, this idea. We started to plan to go to the World Conference on Breast Cancer and to spread it, and it was embraced there. The women were like, yes, you know, this is a great idea. Whether I survive or not, I should get brownie points for turning up every day and for giving it my all, not just for going through treatment, but for going through every day of life. And I feel that I kind of abandoned you when I moved away from you. And, you know, your book was put on hold, it didn't continue. Life kind of went on, ho-hum for us too. And that's why I wanted you to come here. I want you to see that you are Thrive, because you are amazing and you are sharing your message, and it's a message that people need. People need Thrive in their life, because whether they're going through cancer, it's not about cancer. Whether they're going through, whether they've had an accident, or whether they're facing depression, anything, it doesn't matter. Thrive helps to pick yourself up every morning and appreciate the sunshine, appreciate the beach, or appreciate the fresh air, appreciate anything about life, because people forget. They need someone to show them. And you are the special person who's going to show them. I want you to see how wonderful you are, because you don't. You see yourself as just Gayle who plods along and gets things done, but you're a visionary. You are a visionary. You're the person who lit the spark in me, and now you're in Australia and we're going to light the spark in other people together.
Sitting with Rashene at Sandgate, I wondered what the hell she wanted from me. I was really afraid I would let her down. The next day, Rashene had invited the first of her thrivers over. My stomach knotted up again.
Hi. Thank you. This is Gayle.
Hi,
Jenna.
Gayle.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
So you gonna have a chat? Or?
Yeah, how about you go downstairs and watch Jasper?
Okay.
And I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. I've just been talking to Gayle about your story and your journey, but you'll say it better than I could.
In 2009, I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, and I was 24 years old.
So what led up to your diagnosis? What told you something was wrong?
Well, Lance and I had moved in together just after Easter, and I started to get really tired and lethargic, and it got to the point where I didn't think anything was wrong, but I couldn't make it up a flight of stairs without getting a massive head spin at the top.
Oh, wow.
And I just put it down to being tired and needing some extra rest. Lance put it down to me being lazy. He did because we had joined the gym together, and whenever we'd go to the gym, first of all, it was an effort for him to get me to the gym, and then whenever I was there, I kind of just plodded in between this machine and that machine.
We weren't really stuck down in a routine yet, so I said, right, let's get in there and try and get our fitness together. And Jen sort of kept on making excuses to why she wasn't able to go down there with me, and I thought, geez, you know, I've got a dud here. She's a bit lazy around the collar, and of course, didn't I feel like a real bozo when we realised that the reason leading up to that, and the reason that she had no energy and that she just couldn't function like a normal person would was because her body was basically being taken over by leukemic cells.
On Thursday, I started getting lumps of what we now know was infection. My right hand swelled up like double the size. I rang Lance at work on that Thursday and said, you need to take me to the doctor this afternoon. And he did. When he got home, took me straight to the local GP, and that was about 4:15 that we saw him. And he said, if you race up quickly up the road to the local pathology, they close at 4:30, and you might be able to get in quickly this afternoon instead of having to go in the morning. And we walked in at 4:25, and we were their last patient for that day. And if they hadn't have let us walk in and take those tests, I wouldn't be here now, because I was diagnosed overnight by the pathologist.
When I first saw Jenna's blood tests, it was very clear that there was some very serious abnormality. For example, I've had someone with essentially the same diagnosis who was a young, fit person. They had finished their day's work. They went to the hospital after work, presented with a very abnormal blood count, not that dissimilar from what Jenna's blood count was. We made the diagnosis, had a long discussion with the family, and at that time tried hard to give the good and the bad of the diagnosis. But that person was dead within 24 hours.
I was in ICU on the Monday morning when they gave us the diagnosis, and the first thing I said was, am I going to lose my hair? Because I had really long dark hair, and he said yes. But then he said, guess what, it'll grow straight back, so don't worry about it. And then we started talking about what I could do about my fertility, because I was only 24 and I just met Lance. We hadn't talked about having a family and all those kind of things yet, but we kind of both knew that that's what we wanted.
Being at that point, I was 32, and I'd always envisioned having family and having a few kids, and of course we really wanted to follow through and have a family and do everything right.
It was a pellet that they put into my tummy near my belly button, and it was not known how successful it was, but it was supposed to put a protective coat around your ovaries to protect it from whatever treatment you were having.
We had IVF on the cards. We were looking at pricing and all the rest of it, and lo and behold, 2 days before we paid $12,500 to go through with it, they just happened to give us a call and say, your blood results have come back unusual, would you like to come in and see us?
Oh dear.
Very happy we didn't pay that down deposit, and that we actually managed to conceive on our own, and that's been a huge thing for Jen and I.
And so the thought of her being pregnant was a very, very big concern. When Jenna came to my office and told me she was pregnant, I was very worried. I was worried because I knew that her prognosis was not good. I knew that her chances of being cured was less than 50%. And so the thought of her being pregnant was a very, very big concern. An additional concern was that because she fell pregnant so soon after the chemotherapy, she was in a window where a relapse could occur during the pregnancy.
He was our miracle baby because he had happened, and it was like after everything we'd been through, he was our new start, and he was the little thing that we'd always wished for. So he's our life. He's what gave us hope again to keep going and push forward and be positive. Yeah. After we had Jasper, I had a perfectly healthy pregnancy and was healthier than a normal, the average woman, according to my hematologist during pregnancy. And then when he was about 8 months old, I had a relapse.
One experience that really tore on our heartstrings as a family was when Jenna was hooked up to a positively activated breathing device because her oxygen levels had gotten to a critical limit where she could have had brain damage. And I'll never forget, it was myself and her parents in the room, and Jenna couldn't communicate. All she had was a pad and a pen, and that was the only way that she could write things in between consciousness. And we asked her if she wanted Jasper to come in and say hi, and they actually decided that they were going to allow it because she was so close to going. And the man that was running the ICU at that point, Rudy, said, look, we're going to try and get Jasper in here. And she said, I don't want him to come in and see me like this. And that was probably the hardest part. Trying to explain to him why he couldn't see his mum, and trying to understand how, as everything was evolving and we're looking after Jasper and we're all trying to make sure that Jenna has the support that she needs, the people that you meet along the way, and what they did for us, the whole lot, it really tackles you. And I think something so indiscriminate and so adverse it actually, when you've got to deal with it, you've got people that help you out along the way. It reinforces your faith in human nature a little bit.
When I was receiving treatment, I'd met a close friend of mine now in the hospital. She had leukemia as well, and we were there, and she's a Brisbane local, and she was telling me about river fire, and I didn't know what she was talking about, and she said along the Brisbane River, they have fireworks, and it's a big night of celebration, and our hospital at Greenslopes was along the river, or not far from the river. And so the nurses decided that I was on the opposite side of the ward, but there was a large 4-bed room that was vacant. So they decided to get all the patients that were well enough to move around over into the other room that night to watch the fireworks from the window. So that was really nice to be able to go over and sit and have a bit of normality about our life, even though we were behind the windows of the hospital.
It's inspirational the way that Jenna never looked back. She was on the same wave that we were on, and she was obviously playing a much more active part in the recovery process, but for us to see her push through that and to conquer it twice, I guess it shows you the strength of the human spirit, and any problems that we had in the background just faded in comparison. And I guess for her to pull through it, she's inspired us to be stronger and maybe to face up to our own weaknesses, and maybe to spend less time worrying about the unimportant things in life.
Fan of the power of positive thinking, and part of that is that positive thinking helps the immune system, and a lot of the complications that occurred are basically related to the subtle deficiencies of the immune system. So when people are going through a bad time, have lots of worries, I always say, do not underestimate the power of positive thinking. And so the fact that she was so positive from day one, she was positive that she was going to retain her fertility, she was positive about the prospects of having children, that maybe in her case the power of positive thinking was a good thing.
We belong in Thrive because to us, Thrive means to do what you need to do to get through adversity and to look on the positive side of life and to just live life to the fullest.
Definitely, I think positive is the way that we approached it, and the way that Jenna, in particular, she never let anything negative get into her mind, and we fed off of that as a support network as well, and we never looked back. So I think that's the main aspect of our approach to beating it, and why Jenna is now thriving and we are thriving.
You talked about the leukemia village and how pretty awesome it was. And you mentioned one young man in particular, Adem, who lost his fight. Can you tell us a little bit more about him and his family?
Well, I first came across Adem in the hospital when I'd had my bone marrow transplant, and I was in to get some blood taken, and my nurse actually left me in the pathology room because she could hear lots of people saying, "Adem, Adem," and she said, "Oh, I've got to go, I'll be back in a minute," after she'd just prepped me and got me ready. And I was like, "Oh, where are you going?" And she left the door open, and I saw this young man walk in, and with all these nurses around him, and they were all happy and hugging him, and he just had an aura about him that just attracted everyone straight to him. Because I didn't get to personally meet Adem, I met his family and was heartbroken when I found out that he had passed. Certainly when I found out the news, I was having those thoughts about, well, why am I so lucky? Why have I survived? And he hasn't. But then keeping in touch with his family through Facebook and looking at all the wonderful work that they do as a group and as a family to continue his legacy, it snapped me out of it.
They could have just curled up in a ball and said, well, why us? But they took an active approach, don't you think? They said, well, we can help stop other families by getting behind this cause. And even when we ran into them they have a fundraiser called Light the Night for the Leukemia Foundation. So Jenna didn't want to go over and talk to them at all because she, again, had those feelings of guilt. They've lost their son, who's nearly 10 years younger than Jenna. How do I go over there and say, hi, how have you been? And the best thing that ever happened was Jen decided to go over and say hi, and they just embraced Jen and gave her this big hug, and they were so grateful that she was alive. It was fantastic to see the way that they reacted was so positive, and it was so supportive, even though they'd lost their fight with Adem.
And even other friends we've lost where I've voiced my guilt for surviving, like I feel a bit guilty, where they've lost their loved ones and they've all said, do not ever feel guilty. You are the one who is inspiring us to keep going because you're a survivor, and we're doing this for people like you, to keep people like you thriving and surviving.
Thanks so much for coming. It's been so awesome talking to you both. And I know Gayle has been... We didn't really tell Gayle much about you guys because we wanted her to experience you through the eyes that we saw you through when we first spoke to you, so that she could see how amazing you are. I didn't want to say, they're amazing! You know, I wanted her to be able to see it for herself, and I think you did.
Oh, I did. I absolutely did.
I think it's time for a group hug, yes?
Rashene then contacted Adem's father, Brent, and he came over a few days later.
Thanks so much for coming to see us and for coming to meet Gayle.
Oh, no problems at all.
Jenna told us a lot about Adem, and while she didn't get to meet him, that doesn't seem to matter with Adem. His presence is felt whether he is physically in the room or not.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because that's exactly how Adem was. He just had an aura about him, and just, I don't know, he just drew people to him right throughout his illness. You know, people just loved him. He just had this incredibly positive attitude and always thought of others. No matter how sick he was it was always about others. The nurses would come in and say, how are you today, Adem? How are things going? Did you have a tough night last night? And it would be, oh yeah, I'm not too bad, but how was your weekend? Or how are the kids today? So he just had that really positive attitude, and I think it just inspired so many people. He was quite different. He was very mature for his age. He was diagnosed at 17, just a few days after his 17th birthday. But from the day he was diagnosed, he always had a very positive attitude. I remember the morning he was diagnosed, we sort of had a bit of an idea that, something was not at all right. He was diagnosed on a Friday morning, and by lunchtime he was in the hospital receiving treatment. If he hadn't been sent to the hospital straight away and received treatment, he probably wouldn't have survived 2 weeks. When we first arrived at the hospital, the first thing the doctor said to us was, look, yes, you've got leukemia, but this is treatable. So we thought, wow, at least we were very relieved to hear that word treatable. But, as time went on, treatable means treatable. And treatable can be quite serious too, because obviously the treatment you receive for these diseases are quite harsh and take a long time.
I've got a picture here of Adem. Can you tell us about that?
That is just an amazing photo. And in itself, that photo is so inspirational to so many people. And that is his brother shaving his hair. That is his brother, Dan. So that has a special place in my heart, that photo. It is so inspirational. That was taken last year at our World's Greatest Shave event. Adem, in 2012, September 2012, he was told that his disease was incurable. He was not going to survive his disease. So basically was told to go home, spend what time you have with your family. I remember asking the doctor, how long has he got? Adem was sitting next to me, and the doctor said maybe 3 months, which would have been right on Christmas. We thought, wow, this Christmas is going to be terrible. But it wasn't terrible. Adem actually lived for 8 months, and from the day he came home to the day he passed away, we had the greatest time.
The thing with getting cancer and knowing you're going to die young, you saw the world in such bright lights.
He said the greatest things in life are free. To sit outside in the sun, to sit outside and breathe the fresh air, to be around the people you love. And that's what we did until basically a few days before he passed away. That photo was taken at the World's Greatest Shave event, and he knew that he wasn't going to survive. But over the 18 months before that was taken, he had lost his hair on numerous occasions, so he had been bald, but he was still prepared on that day to go out, to shave all his hair off, and to have the greatest time, but he knew that he wasn't going to survive. What 18-year-old can do that in society? The day he was told that he wasn't going to survive, I remember it so clearly, like it was yesterday. His doctor was a little bit fidgety, so I knew something wasn't right. We went into his room, and we sat down, and Adem just had a bone marrow aspirate because he was trying to get back in remission again because of his leukemia had relapsed, and he'd been in remission a few times, and we were trying to get him back into remission again for a second transplant. He came out with the results, and he said, "Oh, look, it's still, you're still 60% blast cells in your blood." Straight away, Adem and I knew. He didn't need to say anything more. We knew that it hadn't been successful. And I remember saying, "So where do we go from now?" And Jason just hung his head down and just said, "Look, there is nothing else we can do." And I remember just rubbing Adem on the back and just saying, "No, I'm just so sorry." And he's just amazing. He just got up and he said, "It didn't beat us." He said, "I have done everything. We have done everything. We can't do any more." And he went over and he hugged his doctor and he shook his hand and he said, "Thank you so much for doing everything that you've done." And he was 18 years old. He walked out of that surgery and he said, "Dad, I am free now." He said, "I am so happy." He said, "I don't have the burden anymore." He said, "I've done everything." He said, "We're just going to enjoy what time we've got, and I'm not scared at all."
It's funny, you think as the parent, perhaps you should be saying those words, and here they are coming from him. It's amazing, astounding.
Yeah. But, I think as a parent, just letting him say those words and supporting him and going, "I'm so happy for you that you are happy." And I really felt that, seeing him go through so much pain. I really felt this, God, I'm going to lose my son. But what outweighed that was my son does not have to suffer anymore. When Adem passed away, I went home and I said, "Well, we've got to let Team Adem know what's happened." I mean, lots of people knew he was very, very unwell. So I put a post on our Facebook and said, "Tonight there will be a new glowing star in the sky." And it just took a life of its own. And now everything's about the star, Team Adem, the star. Our logo has changed. Our logo has a star in it now, which represents Adem. But that star represents others up there too. We have seen a part of society that is truly magnificent. And to have experienced that world, I'm privileged to have experienced that world. But there's a price to pay for everything in life. Unfortunately, my price was Adem.
So, Team Adem, tell me a little bit about that. Did that come about from Adem's wishes and you just carrying it forward and making it happen, or
was it your idea after he had passed?
That came about once again going back to soon after he was diagnosed in the first world's greatest shape. We had to come up with a name, and it was actually my wife that came up with the name Team Adem. She said, oh well, it's Adem, let's call it Team Adem. So that's where Team Adem came about. So Team Adem was just that, Team Adem. Lots of people got together to raise funds, but wow, how it's grown since then. Adem had a wish that, and I think he wrote a wish on you may have the wish there, he wrote his wish. He said, I wish that one day that we could achieve 1,000 donations in a year. Imagine that would save 3,000 lives. 3,000 lives saved. Well, when he came home in 2012, we had more time, so we really got stuck into promoting Team Adem. And in 2013, although Adem passed away, we achieved his wish with a few months to go. We achieved 1,400 donations, saving thousands of lives. In 2014, we set our target at 2,000 donations, saving 6,000 lives. At the end of the day, it's not about numbers, it's about getting more people in to donate blood. Only 3% of the Australian population donate blood.
Only 3%?
Only 3% out of an eligible 50%. Many, many times Adem spent hours and hours in hospital waiting for blood products. We don't want other children to do that. When kids are that sick, we want them to be with their families, where they should be, not waiting in hospitals for blood. And Adem wanted that. He said, Dad, he said, this is shit. He said, I don't mind waiting here, but I don't want other kids to wait here. We've got to do something about it. Even though he was 19 years old when he passed away, you know, people say, oh, that's so sad, you know, it's such a short life. What is life? How long is a life? 1 to 90? 1 to 10, 1 to 19. Adem achieved so much in his life. How many people die at 25 and are buried at 90? So many people that we knew did not contact us because they did feel that guilt. They felt so guilty. But, you know, we are so happy for those survivors, and Adem would be so happy for those survivors. And one of our favourite sayings were, it is what it is. And it is what it is. You can't do anything about that. And a lot of people have that we met through the last few years that have had treatment have just dropped off because they do feel guilty. They think, why was this boy taken? You know, maybe it should have been me. You know, some of them were a lot older than Adem, and I know that they thought, gee, you know, I'm a lot older. Maybe it should have been me, this beautiful young boy. I know that the nurses, a lot of the doctors, you know, even though they treat everyone, they try to cure everyone, they thought, oh, this is shit, you know, why is this young boy going? But it is what it is. But look what this young boy is doing.
Yes.
That is what's important. Some people can survive their illness and still go on and lead a miserable life. Other people, like Jenna, go on and live a beautiful life. And she's an inspiration of her own. And we need those people. We need those survivors because they inspire other people. But we also, unfortunately, we have the ones that don't survive but still do great things like Adem. And we need those people as well because they inspire families who do lose people.
You come out the other side of cancer. I find that I'm often asked, how has it changed me? I don't often get an opportunity to ask somebody who's been the support, the love, the other person who's been affected by the disease. How has Adem's cancer journey affected you?
I think what it makes you realise is life can be so short. It also makes me think how privileged we are just to be here, just to get out of bed in the mornings. A lot of people say to me, I suppose you don't worry about the small things anymore. That's not completely true, you know. You still worry about the small things. You know, still rousing on the kids for doing simple little things. But in the bigger picture, you know, things get done. And it's, I suppose for me, it's about, you know, it's helping other people. That's one thing I've learned. You know, helping other people brings so many rewards, you know. And I suppose sometimes it can even be like a bit of a drug. If you can like just keep helping people and making their lives better, you feel really good within yourself. And feeling so good within yourself just is a great feeling. So right through this, I think, being able to help other people is a great thing we can do. We see so many people in our society that worry about the little things, or retired people that just like sit at home and ring the council and complain about the potholes or the branch that's hanging over the road. But if they got involved in some of the great organisations out there and started helping other people, they would feel really good within themselves. There's so many things, good things we can do for other people out there. And like I said earlier, you don't need to be wealthy. Let's face it, we could have had all the money in the world, it wouldn't have helped us.
Yeah.
And how many people have a lot of money, they fly around the world looking for that treatment. But at the end of the day, a lot of them, they don't find it. It's unfortunate. Money isn't everything. It does help, but it's not everything. Like Adam said, the sunshine, the fresh air, love. That's what's really important in our life.
As the sun set, I reflected on Jenna's and Brent's stories. Jenna had fought so hard, firstly to have the child she always dreamed of, and then again to live the life she dreamed of with her child. Jenna fought again and again for the very thing so many of us take for granted. Brent and his family had lost so much, but he seemed able to endure it with so much grace. I was in awe. I'm not sure I could do what he was doing. My trip was fast coming to an end, but Rashene had one more opportunity planned, to go to the Kim Walters Choices Centre. I had first come into contact with Choices staff at the conference in Winnipeg 6 years ago, when I had attended a class on cancer and sexuality.
Hello. How are you? I'm good. I'm Gayle. I'm Rashene. I'm Bob.
Kevin Walters is my name. I'm a former rugby league professional player in Australia, which is our sport, and since retiring from rugby league, I've moved into coaching. Still involved in the game and some commentary and the likes.
Can you tell us how you and Kim met?
Yes, we met at school. We went through high school together, at Bremer State High. That would have been, we were probably about 14 or 15 at the time. Not all that long ago. And yeah, so we met at high school, and then sort of didn't become sort of boyfriend, girlfriend until about 16 or 17, and we broke up she actually dumped me there for a period of time. But eventually she got a bit smarter about things, and we got back together, and we were together ever since that date.
I was 5 when I first met Kevin, so I've known Kevin for a very long time. We loved Kevin from day dot, and he fitted right in with our family, and we loved his family too, so I think it was a good little match.
We were together from that day forward. We got engaged, we got married in 91, and then we had all the boys, and then we got hit with another sort of tragic story.
We got the phone call that Kim they'd found the lump, and 21, 22 weeks pregnant with Jed. So she had to just wait. 7 weeks was the earliest. They could take him at 28, 29 weeks, and she could start her chemo. And we went out for coffee, and I thought, I don't really do coffee much. We went for coffee, and that's when she sort of told me. She poured me a diary just to write. Sorry.
Yeah, take your time.
She'd brought me a diary just to write my feelings down, and that's when she sort of let me know that she said, I've given it all I can. But yeah, sort of. She said, I just need to get a bit organised, and she said, I want you there for the boys when they grow up, and for Kevin.
She didn't get the opportunity to see the boys grow up, but I still, in their faces, in their eyes, I can see her still living as such, and it's really sad when you think about those sort of things. So I try to tend not to think about it too much. When the illness came back the second time, I'd been away on playing rugby league, and when I came back, and she wasn't all that well, and I could sense that something was up. And then she went back in for more tests, and I didn't even have to ask the doctor. I think I knew, and I think she knew herself. She never ever really asked the question that I think she knew the answer to already, and so we just put two and two together and worked it out ourselves, and that was that's probably the worst day. Yeah. Just when you get that news, it's not something that anyone wants to hear, and particularly with our family situation. But I just kept thinking that, you know, maybe she can pull through, you know, and sadly that never happened. But we just keep going, and we just sort of took each day as best we could until we lost her. Yeah, it was never about herself, and that's one thing that really stood out through that period. And looking back, everything that she went through, like some of the things that, you know, that she had to do and go through, I never saw her cry.
Take a minute.
She never really got that much upset about things. I think myself and the kids probably did more crying than what she did in front of us anyway. But you know, she was very determined to live her life as best she could and make sure that we're okay, which is a bit silly really when you think about it. But that's the way.
Unselfish.
Yeah, unselfish person. Yeah, and you know, that's like that just stays with you for forever and a day. After she got breast cancer, she got a lot of comfort from speaking to those women who'd been affected by the disease themselves.
Kim Walters was dying from her disease, and big thing for Kim was that she really valued support from other women, and I think what she felt she wanted, which is what I think all women feel they need, is to be able to talk to other women, but also to be able to get good professional help when they need it, and not necessarily just from a very clinical, medically focused team, but from people who perhaps could sit down and spend time with them. So we, with the Walters family help, we began that program.
She got a lot of, I think, a lot of power and a lot of determination out of meeting those women, and she hopefully one day when she was going to beat the disease, that she was going to go and help some women herself, you know, get through what she was going through, because obviously it's a very difficult thing, and the more support and love you can get from those around you, it helps in a big way, and that was her dream and her goal. But sadly she didn't get that opportunity. But fortunately for Kim and a lot of women and their families, the Choices program did get off the ground, and we see what a magnificent program that it provides for a lot of people, and we're very proud of that.
Kim would be really pleased about, because she was 28 years old. And you might have seen from our art group, we've got women in their early 20s in that group. So connecting those younger women together was really important to us.
It's really good to see that Kim's dreams become a reality, something she wanted to do. I'm just glad she'll never be forgotten. All that she went through, and it wasn't for nothing. She just wants to help other people now, and she'll live on through that. She'll live on through Choices. You know, Choices is something she wanted, and I think it's great. It'll just keep going, it will, from here, so.
Well, I'm Janine Porter-Steele. I'm the clinical manager of the Choices programs, and I have been pretty much since the beginning. It was at that time when there was very little support around for women who'd been diagnosed with breast cancer, and we were very lucky. The director of the breast clinic, Dr. Cheryl Hurst, was the most amazing woman and a great advocate for women, and we were beginning to start some support groups.
The Choices program offered the ability to share with others who received a diagnosis of breast cancer and learn from them, and also learn from the programs that were offered by Choices.
But when we started, it was just this little 2-hour drop-in centre. So we started it in the transit lounge of the hospital, and the transit lounge was where people who were going home would just wait for their taxis or whatever. So we used to do it on a Monday afternoon, I think it was, or Friday afternoon. And And the aim was that women should be able to come in and talk to someone like me as a breast care nurse or a volunteer who'd been specially trained and be able to ask anything they wanted. But I think for the first 6 weeks when we started, all we did was make coffee for people who were going home, and we didn't actually see anybody for a long while with breast cancer. But then it started to grow, and then we realised that actually women were really valuing support and wanted to talk to breast care nurses.
It's a service that is provided to support those diagnosed with breast cancer and also their families and those around them.
So we, with the Walters Family Help, we began that program.
Janine obviously has been instrumental from day one on where the program has got to. There's been other ladies as well, but a lot of people have done some magnificent work over the time to get the program where it is today.
You know, I think we're very blessed. Kevin's still around, he still supports us. You can see from talking to Kelly earlier, you know, what it means to her, and she's done some incredible stuff for Choices.
He did it, he's done it all. I think it made her dream a reality.
She and Kevin sat down, they spent ages talking about what they would do, and then, as I say, we started with that very small beginning.
Well, I'm not going to take the credit for it. We used to have a little committee that was formed, and I think Janine was part of that committee, and some of Kim's friends were on the committee. There were some volunteers that were on the committee, and started off just basically, you know, trying to raise money to support the program so the program could continue to grow. And
so that very small concept grew, and then with the help with the community, who clearly were right behind it, you know, it's just grown and grown, and it is what it is. And it is what it is because so many people give of their time willingly and happily. We have the best volunteers and a really lovely team that are just absolutely passionate about what they do. All we want really out of this is to get people to a good place. So this hasn't been the worst thing that's ever happened in their lives. It's been something that's happened, it's been pretty awful, but out of it has come some good stuff. It's about support, it's about sharing, it's about friendship, it's about giving people the very best information, the very most up-to-date information that they can have that will get them through their breast cancer journey and beyond.
women, men, their families can come and speak to people, good people, that have been through similar circumstances to themselves.
Feel relaxed. It's just so good for all these women, and, you know, just to come in and just feel the way they do here.
People walk in the door and they feel safe and they feel comfortable and they can relax, and we're not this coldly clinical area, and people can just sort of come here and talk. And, you know, we don't have any taboos, so we talk about anything. You know, a big thing is in things like menopause and sexuality. So the things that you might talk about the diagnosis, and you know, but it's all the bigger picture. It's all the effects of treatment. What happens when treatment ends? You know, we give people a prescription for their medication and we give them their chemotherapy, and then we kind of go, right, you're done now. Bye. Next, we'll see you. And that's with Choices. What we've said is we don't care whether you're 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the track. If you need to come, you just come.
And we see what a magnificent, you know, program that it provides for a lot of people, and we're very proud of that.
If I came across a great big barrel of money, I would move us, I think, into a big old house that was even more homely than this, and I'd create more programs for people. And the big dream is that it should be a cancer care support centre. I think it's great that we support women with breast and gynae cancer, but I see other women with lung cancer and with pancreatic cancer and bowel cancer, and to have that as a cancer care support centre where they can come as well and get the same information and support services that the women with breast and gynae are getting, that's what I'd do with that money, and make it bigger and better. And actually, if I could just do one more thing, I think I'd make it national.
We'd like to see it more available in other cities, in smaller cities, because the Choices is really unique, and I'd like to think that we could set this model up in other cities into Victoria, into Western Australia.
Being with these women in the art class, I was at ease. Watching the relief on the faces of the women in that class, some of whom are very sick, showed me that something so simple can have incredible benefit. I would have loved to have had a place like this back home when I was at my worst. I am impressed by Choices because Choices team members immediately make you feel welcome and at ease. Choices services are free for all who need them. Choices is open to patients and their families. Further, Choices embraces an ambition to provide the same information, service, care and support to the entire rainbow of people in need.
So we've actually almost come full circle. You know, approximately 7 years ago, we were in a room not unlike this, and you were in the middle of your cancer journey. You'd faced a huge demon that is cancer, and you were waging war against it, and you had a spark. And I brought you here to Australia, and I introduced you to Jenna. Jenna, who fought leukemia, who then went on to have her beautiful little boy, and then almost lost her life, almost, lost everything that she had dreamed of. I introduced you to Kevin Walters. He was a humble man who lost the woman that he loved and had to raise his children without her. And not only did he do that, but he took her legacy, her dream, and he turned up every day to make it into a reality. And he attracted other people with his spark and with her spark and got them to follow on with the dream and to make it a reality. He flew from Newcastle to talk to us. He is a wonderful, humble man, and he has the spark. And then we talked to Lexi, and we reminisced about the World Conference on Breast Cancer. So the Conference on Breast Cancer for the world. And I asked her what she thought of Thrive, what all those other women she talked to at the conference thought of Thrive. And they loved it. You were the one who said, you know what? While we're waiting to survive, we can thrive. And it lit a spark in them. So you lit the spark because you are Thrive. And you're the Thrive torch. You picked up that torch and you brought it to Winnipeg. And it's still lighting. It might be a little bit dimmer, but it's still lighting because you're still shining. And now we need to take the Thrive message and the Thrive torch and bring it on to the next stage, the next level.
It is hard to look at yourself as inspirational. It's hard to look at myself the way you do. And it's not that I disbelieve you. It's just, I think I'm just being me. I think I am just approaching life as I would approach life, finding laughter, appreciating today. I do believe in paying it forward. And that's why the message of Thrive is important to me. It really is. Because I believe that people can get through this, that it doesn't have to be any illness, cancer, any illness, doesn't have to be that defining thing in their life that controls their life or dominates their life. But it's so hard. I agree, Jenna's extraordinary and Brent's extraordinary, and holy crap, Kevin is extraordinary. And I guess I caught a glimpse of it, and not through you, and I'm so sorry, but I was talking to Julianne earlier, and she was, we were just talking about the message and about, I was talking about Choices and what they do and recognizing the people and all that, and wow, did she get excited. She got so excited about what we're doing, and they're so excited for where this could go and what message it could bring people. And that kind of put me back on my heels, because I think I've lost sight of that, or I haven't really thought of that. It is hard it's hard to be the person to say, yeah, we need to say that, and yeah, you're right. This is what we're trying to do. It's been really, really tough, but I think Julianne kind of got through to me more so than you thought you could.
That's okay. That's bringing Thrive, because choices, they embody Thrive. They're giving to people freely, people who need their support. And if you go back and give that message, think of all the people who can benefit. People who maybe don't have, you know, a lot of family. You went through it when you were going through breast cancer. You only really had Vinny because your friends and family were so far away. If they had something like Choices there, think of all the people who would benefit.
Including Vinny.
Mm-hmm. You're so awesome. You are. It's not why I set out to do this, though. It's not. Exactly. You set out to do this because, you know, you needed it, and you realized that other people need it. You know, we were.
But it's the message that I wanted to. I guess I just don't want to be a face. I just want a message to get out. I don't want to take that credit.
But you deserve that credit. You know, I know you like to stand in the background and you like to beaver away and work hard, but that's what makes you a thriver. And I know for people to understand Thrive, they'll have to see where it came from. You know, because if it's just a word, it's nothing. It's any kind of a word, but it's not just a word. It's a journey, and it's a message, and it's something that people need. There's so much going on in this world that can bring people down and make them afraid. They worry about what happened. We've already talked about this. They worry about the past and they worry about the future instead of living for today. And if they can see people who live for today despite huge odds.
Do you know how hard it is, though, to hear you say that you think I've lost the spark? Because I don't think that I've lost a spark or a drive. I just think that I've gone about being me. Sorry.
No, I understand. I'm not trying. I'm really not trying to hurt you. I love you to bits.
I know.
But when I say that the spark, I mean, it's almost like you think you're unworthy to be Thrive, but you are Thrive. And I want you to feel worthy. And that's what I mean by the spark. You know, you don't want to be the face that people see, because I don't think you feel you're worthy to be the face that people see, but you are. Honestly, when I was...
Does this look like the image that people should see? That's
Yes.
what I can't get past.
It is the image that people see. It should see. People need to stop. You know, I saw on the TV the other day a supermodel has breast cancer, and I'm very sorry for her, and I hope she thrives through it. But there's lots of ordinary women out there who aren't a size 2 and who aren't made up for the camera, who are going through breast cancer, and they're no less beautiful. You were never so beautiful as when I walked into your house after you'd had both your breasts removed. You had no hair. and I looked at you and you were shining because you were still there. You had come through this huge operation which took something away from you that people say, you know, oh, you know, you're a woman. And you're missing this bit now. But it didn't take away from you because you were glowing. You were. And that's the moment when I thought, this girl is special and we need to do something so she can see how special she is. And that's when the wheels started turning. That's when we started having these conversations, because I didn't know Thrive. I knew you were special, but I didn't come up with Thrive. You did.
Oh,
only because I was too stubborn to let the cancer overwhelm me. You get the diagnosis I didn't. Don't think you're not trying to find a way out. By the way, I was never so happy to get rid of 8 pounds in my life. Just wanted to say that.
You know, beauty is being defined by people who want to sell stuff. And that is not real beauty. Thriving is beauty. You know what was beautiful? And you saw it and I saw it. Was a 19-year-old boy, a 19-year-old boy having his head shaved off 2 months before he died after only getting his hair grown back. And what was coming out of him, that was beautiful. And that's what the world needs to see as real beauty. You know? Thriving is beautiful. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't. You know, we saw that picture of Jenna in Dr. Nichols' office. She had beautiful little Jasper beside her, and she had no hair and a scarf on her head, and she was kind of pale looking, and you could tell she'd been through the ringer. But she looked stunning. You said it, I said it, she did. Sorry. But yeah, I didn't mean to make you cry. And by saying
yes.
but by saying you've lost the spark, I just mean you put yourself out there in Winnipeg. You went around talking to people about Thrive, and you know, putting it out there to them, connecting with them, and showing them that Thrive is a way to be, and Thrive is a way that they can be. You know, and that will make them feel good in themselves, because that's what it's all about, feeling good. Because as Dr. Nichols said, when you feel good, your chances of getting better are so much higher, right? And I just want you to keep doing that, because you're pretty good at it. You know, that bond you formed with Julie at Winnipeg, you know, you just like two thrivers. Tissue. Give me another one. I love you to bits, you know. Even though you want to kill me. Oh, okay. Do you think it was worth your while making this trip?
You know, you're right. There were some pretty fantastic people to meet and hear their stories, and I think it's just what I needed to inspire me again, to go forward with the book as I planned all that long ago. And I'm so glad I came. I'm so glad I got to see you and your family. The drive back to the airport was somber. Hugging Rashene goodbye, my heart broke a little. On the plane, I flipped through my scrapbook and remembered all the people I had met who showed me what thriving is. A young woman who wanted desperately to be a mother. A father who honors the memory of his son. Lexi and her group who support and care for each other. A foundation that brings love, care, and relief to people at the worst time of their lives. I hope I don't disappoint Rashene after all this. A few weeks after returning home to Victoria, I received a video and letter from Rashene. Hi Gayle. As you know, I love my hair, but as a symbol of my commitment to the Thrive philosophy, I am having my head shaved. This is the choice I made. This is what I can do now. I do it to honor you, for others like Adem, and for myself. And that is what thrivers do. They live for the higher purpose and act as they can to make that dream a reality.
The other reason I'm shaving my head is for my friend Gayle, who has had inflammatory breast cancer. My friend who came up with this thriving thinks that maybe she's not beautiful enough to be the face of Thrive, because she's a big girl like me and She doesn't look like a supermodel. But she has shown me that beauty is not about what you look like. It's about what you do. It's about all these people who got in and shaved their heads for somebody else. It's small things that grow into something big. Oh, God.
Keep it going, keep it.
Oh, thanks. My mother wants me to keep some of this, so. Oh, crap. Really good. It feels nice. Yeah, and at last check, I'd raised $1,705, so that's pretty good too. People have been very generous. Yeah. Yes, I'm very grateful to everyone who donated. That was really wonderful. Yeah.
Thrivers are ordinary people acting together to achieve extraordinary things. Now I ask you to seek out and find one more thriver close to you. Add the story to your journey. Love your friend always, Rashene.
Hi, Gayle.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
To meet you.
It's great to see you.
Finally.
Come on in. What a treat.
Kevin, would you please tell me a little bit about your life before you were diagnosed?
Well, my life was very much based around fitness. I've been playing hockey and doing fitness my whole life, so it was nothing out of the ordinary being a personal trainer and designing nutrition plans and playing sports, and always been an active lifestyle.
Tell me about your diagnosis. How did you find out?
My ex-wife, being a doctor, was very close on my medical health, and my blood pressure was going up. So she decided to get me to take some kidney renal tests. And the renal test was showing my GFR was decreasing. And as it became lower, I ended up having to go on a lot more medications and more 24-hour renal tests, and they just ended up doing a biopsy that found out that I had a disease called IgA nephropathy.
Tell me how long you had to wait, or they told you that you had to wait before you could have a transplant?
The longevity of why this was going to take so long was because, one, I'm an O blood type. An O blood type is a universal type, which actually the first one that comes in goes to A, B. It never goes to O, or it can go to O, so it's the most universal one, so it takes the longest to get a kidney. And when they told me it was going to take 10 to 12 years, this was an area that was going to be a very big headache for me because, you know, I've been away from my family in Spain and my daughter Julia. So for me to even perceive 10 to 12 years away from her was, for me, was not going to happen.
One of the most incredible parts of your story is Tough Mudder.
Trainers that I was working with at the time had mentioned to do this Tough Mudder so we can raise awareness about your problem to get me a kidney. And so I checked this Tough Mudder thing out, and I heard about it, and it was designed by the British SAS, and electric shocks and freezing water, and being from Spain, I wasn't too fond of the freezing water, and I thought, well, can I do this? So I went to see the doctors, and the doctor says, no, this is impossible to do. So I went to see another doctor, so I'm trying to find someone that would tell me it's okay. They told me, no, this is impossible to do because of the electrolytes in your kidney don't produce the process, and your potassium levels on extreme fitness go sky high, which can give you a heart attack or a stroke. So I went to a doctor, Dr. Paul Zare, when I was with Dr. Jane Gare, and they said, would I say it can be possibly done? He says, after 3 meetings with you, Kevin, I think if anyone can do it, you will be able to do it. So we did some things with the universities and stuff, and I started training with Dr. Gare and walking through, always someone healthy with me. And I would get deferred pain, which wouldn't allow me to get past 2-3 kilometers because your organs can't speak, but they're speaking through different muscles. So it was like a death field because I've had that in my arm before. And I'd stop, and I was just retraining my body to not to react to it, but it reacted every single time. However, it didn't react once I started going, and I started to be able to go farther and farther. So when it came down to doing Tough Mudder, I ended up going there with my little girl, Julia, and that was my vision the whole time I trained, was seeing my little girl at the end running into her arms. That was my vision. And she showed up 2 days before from Ibiza, Spain, and she was wearing it said got kidney, like instead of got milk, and on the back it said my daddy needs a kidney, and she was at the front line. And when I was going through the process, so many people I was just on myself, where a lot of people do it by a team. But I've been on this drive, like I felt by myself for so long, that I wanted to do the Tough Mudder by myself. So I just cruised through it, did it. I was going through a lot of pain in areas because I was getting in septic shock with about 8 kilometers left, with a lot of contractuals in my muscles, because I couldn't drink a lot of water, couldn't have bananas because of potassium. The rejuvenation of my body was something that was not a normal monitoring system. So by the time I got to about a kilometer left, when I was really, really going into septic shock with contractions everywhere, I heard this little voice. It was my little girl, and she decided to run up for some strange reason. And she said, I could hear, "Daddy, Daddy." And I saw her, and then I ended up, she said, come on, Dad. And I kept on going through the process, and I just had left, right, smiled through my liver, and seeing little Julia with me. Unreal how she was there. And to go through this latter part, the very end, and as soon as you go up 30 and about 30 down over some water, and as soon as I left my legs, the contractions went crazy in my legs, and I was in so much pain. I made it over, swung through, ran down the last 400 yards through the electric shocks at the end, and I promised my family I wouldn't do that, but how can I not complete this after doing everything I've done? And when I ran through, they announced that I was the first and only person ever to attempt it on dialysis, let alone complete it on dialysis. And I broke right down there as my little girl, and I was also in so much pain, and to accomplish it, and the feeling of everything, the emotional just took right over. However, my body was in such septic shock, I had to go straight into an ambulance right away. We had set it up and checked it out to make sure they were ready. And I was taken up to the hospital and everything processed and fluids put into me and my potassiums and everything checked and my levels. I was held for about 18 hours, and then I was released. And what a process. An accomplishment that I knew was something that I could use this to grab people's attention, to tell them about these issues that we have, because when we're doing a kidney speaking engagement about this process, 17 people were showing up. Where we did the Tough Mudder / kidneys, renal failure, we're getting 1,500 people showing up, especially the young people, which I think inspire or motivate the next crew. So that's kind of how I chose the Tough Mudder and accomplished it. And what you go through, the atrophy in the muscles, the ligaments, your heart, your brain. I have pictures of me with one hole there, one hole there, one hole there, one hole there, right? Because they go through that vein and pop out the other side, so you have internal bleeding. They brought me down from 5% GFR and put me on dialysis. I thought I'd feel better. You don't feel better, you just get through to the next dialysis session. It's a circle of barely keeping you sufficiently alive.
I believe there's a lot of people out there like us. I came up with the word thrive and thriving, and you've added because I can. Because I can adds another dimension to it. Can you tell me how you see it relating?
Well, the connection that I see from Because I Can project and Thrive is really they're exactly the same thing. And I really chose to thrive, when I chose to do the Because I Can project and work with these guys, it's because I could either sit and melt and be a victim, or I could say, you know what, I'm gonna run this and tell me I can't do this. They told me I couldn't do the Tough Mudder. I chose to work through it all out, and I thrived during it. I didn't do it in a process where I thought, oh, I can't do it, maybe I can't. I put my little girl's face in front of the picture in my head, and every day I did left, right, and I smiled thriving and getting things done and making a choice out of your situation. So I chose. Has anyone done it before? No. Did they say I couldn't do it? Yes. Did I get it done? Yes. And I say that in a humble way because I knew I needed to do some sort of action that I could ducktail my story to try to get myself a process or someone to hear me at some spot so I can get myself back to my little girl. Nothing was stopping me, and nothing was stopping me without doing it with a smile. Was it emotionally and difficult at times? Oh yeah, most of the time. However, you know what? I kept on telling my little girl, there's a silver lining in all this, Julia. We're going to learn from this. We're going to help the other people, and we're going to get this done so they can see this and they can be inspired to thrive and live their process that they've been hit with, and inspire them to make sure that they keep the faith, keep it going on, and get it done. You know, because you either have one choice. You could thrive through this, or you can fall through this. And the falling was going to have no part of myself or my project. How would that be as a father to teach your daughter that? No way.
How did Darren become part of your life?
He phoned and told me that he was accepted to donate me a kidney, and he was just wanted to introduce himself and tell us about it. And there I was with my little girl, and she was just going to be leaving back to Spain. So it was such a special moment because she can go back to Spain with even to alleviate all that pressure and stress from herself. My mom and dad were here. We were all breaking down into tears really quickly. You know, such an emotional state to get that phone call. And from the Tough Mudder time that I started ducktailing my story off to then was about a year and 3 months. So a year and 3 months in between that process to get that phone call. And whoa, that kind of phone call you'll never forget in your life. I mean, that's the most vivid phone call I've ever had, and I'll probably ever have. So that's something you'll never forget. I think my little girl will never forget, and my parents will never forget.
Somebody's here.
Hey, brother.
How
Good
you
to
doing,
see you,
brother?
man.
Good to see you.
Oh, shoot. Such a
You're
great
getting
person.
taller and I'm getting shorter, one or the other. I'm not sure.
Hey, come on in, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Come on in here.
Thanks. How you been doing?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Really good, actually. Feeling really kidney and all.
Excellent. Excellent.
Hi, Darren.
Hi, Gayle. How are you?
Good, good.
Good.
What made you decide to donate your kidney?
My significant other, Tanya, her cousin was on Facebook, and she is cousin with Kevin here, and the Facebook site appeared. Kevin needs a kidney, and turns out he's O positive. So Tanya suggested to me, well, you know, why don't you donate a kidney? You know, and I thought, well, I'm kind of using it myself, kind of thing, you know, but. And then I was educated and realized that, you know what, I can do fine with one kidney. You can donate a kidney and live life normally. So I thought, well, you know, if I can make a difference, you know, kind of thing, and the key was still have a normal life, then okay, you know, why wouldn't you help this person out? I mean, I want to say no skin off my nose, or, you know, but it was just something that I could do and still live the same way I lived in the past. So yeah, I went forward from there.
How do you thank someone that has changed not only your life or given you life, or given your daughter her dad? I mean, this is the biggest gift in the world that you can do for anyone. I mean, you can just express your gratitude and love and appreciation. However, there's nothing you could ever say to really tell that story is how deep it's touched your life, your heart, your families. I just think that it's just such a beautiful story, a beautiful gift in life that I just couldn't even comprehend this process of being such a generous gift. For me, it just leaves me speechless, actually.
this point back, I have not regretted anything I have done in the process of donating this organ. It has been nothing but a positive experience and an education for myself. And to me, that's maybe the biggest point, is the education, because I had no idea that there's this many people waiting for organs.
We don't have enough people that are registered as organ donors. We don't have the information being reached out to empower them to make these decisions where they are.
Why would you not do that for a fellow human being that needs it?
An old lady says to me, yeah, but who would want any of my organs? And once again, I expressed to her that at one of my events, I had a 15-year-old girl that went blind, and she ended up getting a cornea transplant from a 77-year-old lady, and now she has got her learner's license and sees again.
You know, you can affect people's lives in a huge way. You know, and I think deep down in every person, they want to help others, kind of thing, eh? But they all feel that there's nothing they can really do. Well, the single most way you can affect, probably more than one, if not numerous. I watched a program the other day where a lady, her father donated his organs when he died. He helped 27 people upon his death.
We just have to empower people with the information so we can move forward and bring success and less pain to people that are literally dying from this lack of resources that we've got.
Organ donors, get it done. Everyone register. Please save a life.
Less than 0.5% ever need a kidney again. So when they're saying they're saving them for another person, in reality, it's pretty much never going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's such a beneficial project to be able to do that.
Yeah, great point. And like I say, again, with as far as the live donation part of it, they take you through the process. They make sure that you're healthy, and that, you know, when you come out of this, it will be, you know, the same as before. And I did my research online. There's many chat rooms and that kind of thing where people, living donors, talk to each other, and I've yet to find someone who lists it as a negative experience. So it's all good.
You're like me in that you've become a vessel, the messenger.
When it came to me, I decided, you know what, I'm healthy enough with this process that if I can inspire and teach other people first to continue to move your body, get yourself in the best shape you can so you can tackle what's going to come ahead. Two, to make sure you go through this not only with a physical element, but a real spiritual, happy element. We have a choice. We can choose to go through this in a sad, depressing movement, or we can choose happy, determined, focused, grateful.
Kevin, you've given me words to describe how I feel about the whole process that I couldn't articulate until this very moment. And you, Darren, what can I say? That you know what you got out of this, it's touching to me, it's inspiring. Both your stories are inspiring to me, and I'm so glad you agreed to be part of Thrive. I can't think of a better representation than both of you, and because I can.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gayle, for doing this thing. I just want to touch everyone with you.
Glad to be a part. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
pal.
buddy. Take care of that kidney,
No,
okay?
I will.
All right.
Look. Okay, see you later, guys.
Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
Take care, brother.
My stomach is full of butterflies. Today I work out alone, not because Vinny wouldn't come, but because it's time I did this alone. To be a thriver, you not only need to choose to make a change, but also act upon your decision. Even the smallest of actions can make a difference. Jenna taught me that not all goals need to be grand ones. Her dream of having a child is just as valid as any other. Brent confirmed my thriving belief that life should not be measured by length, but by quality. Adem's friends and family honor the value of his life each day with their good works. Kevin and Darren confirm for me that there are good people close to me, people that will open their minds and open their hearts. That is why this morning I cleared part of a cupboard in our spare room. Similar to Choice's beginnings, I am starting in a cupboard, collecting the tools to pay it forward. It's my dream that there be a Choices Care Center in my hometown, a place that offers care, information, healing services, and support for the whole rainbow of people and their families that need it. Because every time we strive for that higher place in our human nature, every time we choose to get involved, every time we reach out to ease the suffering of those around us, we thrive.
Yesterday the sky was blue. Now I'm bound to all these tubes. Thought I had my future settled, written in the sand. Life wants dinners and play dates. Now it's doctor's bills and marrow scrapes. Nothing turned out like I planned it. I'm so scared of change, and I may be down, but I'm not out. And I cast off my fears and start to shout, 'cause takes its toll. Winter longing to feel whole. My shadow hunts me down dark holes. I won't let it take my soul. Cast the monsters into the night, using all my strength to fight. Like a new star